Hi, I'm Manda McKay. I'm a professional artist, and I'm making these videos to give you tips to help enhance your creativity. And it doesn't matter whether you're just starting out with a creative hobby or if you have a lot of experience. Either way, these tips will be useful for anybody. This tip today was actually inspired by Ron of the YouTube channel Ron's Big Ideas. He made a comment on a video that I recorded a couple months ago, and I thought that it was actually worthy of its own video, its own tip, because it was a little bit different than the video I'd already made that he was commenting on. So I had made a video called Not Just Happy Trees, and in this video I talk about I know a lot of people want to create art about something that makes them happy, and that's great, but have you considered making art about something that upsets you in some way, something that terrifies you or angers you or makes you sad? And what he had said in the comment was that he is often inspired by a problem that needs to be solved. And in specific, he talked about the amount of waste that's generated in everyday life. And he comes up with different systems or processes that he invents to help reduce waste in different situations. And he comes up with other things as well, but this is just something that he addressed in the comment. And I realized that this is a little bit different. When I talked about creating art about something that upsets you, that's not really the same thing as offering a solution. In the video, Not Just Happy Trees, I talk about, do you have some kind of an enemy that's a concept, not an individual? And for me, one of those enemies would be the patriarchy. And so I create art about the patriarchy. But after Ron's comment, I was giving it some thought, and really, overall with my paintings, I'm mostly expressing how I feel about the situation and not really offering a solution other than maybe I want the art to be empowering to other people and inspire them maybe to take action. But it's not really offering a solution to the problem. And so he really got me thinking about this. And I often talk about how just a thought exercise can be very useful for developing your creativity, because creativity is something that requires practice like anything else. So even just thinking about, well, how could I do this in my art, is something that would be helpful for you, even if you come up with an idea that you don't ever use, or even if you don't even come up with any ideas that you think are that good, it's still helpful to think about it. So I was trying to figure out places where I had already maybe done something with my art that was a solution to a problem, and the best that I could come up with was my series that I did recently called Reflections of Freedom. And this is a series about human trafficking. And the point of the series is to raise awareness about human trafficking. And I realized that the whole concept of raising awareness has probably, a lot of people would feel like that's been really overdone, but I would disagree and say that in a lot of instances, people don't really know how bad a problem is. For me personally, I've known for a long, long time about human trafficking, but I had thought that it was actually a very rare and unusual problem. And then probably only 10 years ago, I found out that it's actually extremely widespread, to the point that if you're going out in public a lot, you are very likely encountering people who are currently victims of trafficking. So knowing that, I was hoping to raise awareness with my series about human trafficking so that people would be aware that it is actually a widespread problem, and then hopefully they would be inspired to take action if they found something that just, they came across a situation with a person and it just seemed off, that hopefully they would think, is this person being trafficked? And then they would call the human trafficking hotline or call 911 and possibly lead to the rescue of a person who is currently being enslaved. So just raising awareness can be a very important way to actually offer a solution. Now, I will see if I can, in the future, think about this, and is there some other way that I can come up with an actual solution to a problem other than raising awareness? And I'll see if I come up with anything, and maybe I'll come up with some ideas, but they won't really translate to my type of art, and that's fine. But just thinking about it is a good exercise in creativity. Now I'll give you some examples for whatever your creative practice is, whether you're an artist or a hobbyist. Just see if you can think about ways that maybe your art or your hobby could solve a problem, or at least maybe not completely solve a problem, but offer a possible solution to help the problem. Let's say that you're a baker, and one thing that really concerns you or upsets you is kids' nutrition, and you're planning to bake some cupcakes for a kid's birthday party. Now, okay, obviously cupcakes, they're not health food, and probably kids are going to want to eat cake no matter what. They're not just going to want to eat their vegetables. But is there a way that you could come up with that you can make those cupcakes just a little bit healthier? Could you perhaps puree some zucchini or something and hide some vegetables in those cupcakes to make them a little bit more nutritious for the kids who are going to eat them? And maybe the kids won't even know the difference. They'll just think they're eating delicious cupcakes. But that would be a slight, it's like I said, it's still cupcakes, but making them better for the kids is still offering a slight solution to the problem. Let's say that you design women's clothing, and you want to design clothing for women to go out night clubbing. Well, maybe it bothers you that nightclubs can be a kind of dangerous situation sometimes for women. And a lot of the clothes that you would tend to wear at night clubbing tend to render a woman sort of helpless. Like if you have a tight mini dress that you can't really move in, and high heels like that make you really wobbly and unstable, these are a potential problem. So maybe you think about how you could design clothing that can make women a little bit safer when they're out night clubbing. Maybe you come up with a fancy kind of mini dress, but it allows women to, run or kick or move in it if they have to. Maybe you design shoes for night clubbing, and there's something that seems suitably fancy for the occasion, but that the woman could still run in if she had to and wouldn't be just teetering around, unable to defend herself as easily. So these are just a couple of examples, and maybe you can come up with an actual solution to a problem that you could solve with your art or your hobby, and maybe not. But whether or not you come up with anything usable, just give it some thought, just for the practice and to exercise the creative part of your brain. And of course you can do like Ron of Ron's Big Ideas and apply this to not just your art but your everyday life. And thinking about creativity in your art will also help you think about creativity in your everyday life, and you can come up with a solution that has nothing to do with your creative practice. But just give it some thought. Again, I want to say thank you to Ron of Ron's Big Ideas for inspiring this tip. And let me know in the comments if you've been able to have any success with this, or if you've ever thought about this kind of thing before. Again, my name is Manda McKay, and thank you so much for watching.